Recently, I interviewed both the CEO of Draft2Digital as well as the Director of Marketing for Draft2Digital over on my main channel, but what you didn't get to see was 13 minutes of additional footage. And here, I'm going to give you the raw, unedited version of the interview. Now, you're not missing out on a whole lot beyond what you saw on the main channel, but there is some additional information, like we discuss ISBNs. We also kind of discuss the private nature of working with some printers over in various regions. It's a pretty interesting conversation. So we went from just a 22-minute interview over on my main channel to a full 36 minutes right over here. Yeah, you get to see everything, such as when we just stopped, having the interview and actually just chatting amongst ourselves, and that's going to be a little later into the video. I wanted to share this with you unedited and raw because I wanted to give you a good idea of what the channel memberships is like. Now, if you're not familiar with channel memberships on YouTube, it's kind of like Patreon, but for YouTube content creators on the YouTube platform. So if you would like to help support the cause, one of the greatest ways to do that is become a channel member. Then you can see more behind the scenes footage like this one. I'm giving this one 100% free because it's great information, and I think you'll find a lot of it very insightful. And you're gonna see a lot of filler words and a little bit of banter, but you get to see all the raw, unedited footage, and that's essentially what I do within the channel memberships program. If you would like to become a channel member, make sure that you go over and visit the link inside the description down below, or go over to dalelinks.com/memberships. That's for the podcast channel, and dalelinks.com/membership for the main channel. Either one of those will get you exactly what you need for behind the scenes access. I definitely look forward to seeing you on the inside. Let's get into the interview. I have always been probably one of the biggest ambassadors for Draft2Digital. I just really love what you guys are doing because you're providing a great alternative to a lot of what we're seeing in KDP or say Ingram Spark. So let's just jump right into the task at hand. What are the features of Draft2Digital Print that authors should know about?
Well, some of the cooler stuff that we're doing that you're not going to get at other PLD services at all. One of my favorites is the ebook cover converter, and that is a tool where if you only had the ebook cover, which a lot of authors come in and all they're doing is going to digital, they don't have print. So if you've only spent money on or managed to design an ebook cover, you've got this tool that will automatically convert that into a full wraparound print cover. And it even includes like you can add your own colophon, which is the little publisher imprint logo. You can have your author bio and photo on the back if you choose. You can have you can control the book description on the back. And what's really cool about it is what it does is it doesn't take the image itself and wrap it around, but what it does is take a sort of average of the color of that image, and then that becomes the color that wraps around. If I remember right, Chris, you can correct me on this, but I think that you can actually choose a color if you prefer.
You can.
Yeah. So yeah, that's one thing. Some of the other stuff that we've done that I think is pretty innovative and that sets us apart. We offer free templates, layout templates for the interior of your book, which we've had for a long while with ebooks. That's something we introduced pretty early on, but it extends over, and you can match that with your print book. So your print and ebook can match in layout. And we've got several templates to choose from. And think of it in terms of being a sort of light version of Vellum, where you can do this in a browser. So it's completely operating system agnostic. You can actually just choose the template you want. And that includes things like, seam break ornaments and, little ornaments that go in the corners of the chapters, and you've got all these different things you can choose from. So things like that. It's these little touches that we've added over the years that I feel really differentiate us from any other PLD service out there.
I've asked you this before, Kevin, because I think you're now officially a gold jacket member of my channel because you've been on that many times.
Yes.
But I think it's important. I actually ask the guy in charge. First of all, are you crazy? Do you realize that people can just go onto your platform and just use your ebook formatting software and just download it and just go upload it somewhere else. So explain to me like why you guys are so generous with what you have.
Well, I mean, the goal is that we want you using us because you want to, not because you're stuck with us. And we want authors to succeed. And if what you need is a well-formatted book, our software can make it for you. And if the rest of our services aren't useful to you, then that's fine. Hopefully we'll make some better services that you'll want to use in the future, and you'll come back. So our goal is always just we want you to want to be using Draft2Digital, not because you're stuck with us.
That's just incredible. And by the way, I'm not literally saying you're crazy at this point, but I think it has been such an amazing tool for a lot of people out there, especially for new authors that don't have the discretionary budget, or they're just dabbling in things and they don't really want to invest so much in it. I know, Kevin, you can probably speak on that. Like, how are you currently using the formatting software, or do you have to hire out for something like that, Kevin?
No, I use so I do design my own covers for most of my books, and some of the books I have actually just, I'll design something really quick in Canva or something, and I let D2D wrap it around. I've done that a couple of times on mostly the nonfiction books. But I use our internal layout and things like that quite a bit. All the various tools. I'm a big fan. I've actually used D2D Print exclusively since we first created it. Even back in the dark days when we were still kind of figuring some things out, and it wasn't always the just to be fully transparent, I mean, it wasn't always the best option for POD, but I was a big fan of it, and I like the level of control it always gave me, and always have, and I still prefer it over all the other solutions. And I've tried them all, man. You and I think have talked about this before. Like, I've done all of them, because you kind of gotta when you're in this business. And this one is just seriously the easy button for all this stuff. And I'm lazy. I mean, I don't want to have to do a bunch of extra work. I like being able to just upload a manuscript and go.
Nice. All right, so let's come back over here to Draft2Digital's print option. How is Draft2Digital assisting authors with limited funds to publish their book without additional formatting or ISBN costs beyond the ebook? So we've already talked a little bit about the formatting on that area, because we could just take our ebook and then we can get it converted immediately into the print version. So what about the ISBN costs? Because I know that can really add up after a while. How are you guys handling that?
Well, it's really just like with the ebook side, we offer free ISBNs for print. So at our scale, we can buy them in large bulk. So it's something that we can give away for free. And you don't have to go and invest in that. For the early authors, that's the right option. I mean, when you're a brand new author on your first book, you should be spending as little as possible. And when you start succeeding and things carry on, then you can start investing in stuff like ISBNs if you think it's the right move. But I would definitely wait. So,
and I want to emphasize that, because there are for years when I first started getting the book into layout was there were no easy solutions. There was no Vellum, Draft2Digital, anybody, and it was either figure it out and do it myself, which I ultimately chose, or pay someone to do it. And either way, like, I bought software, it was an expensive and time intensive thing, and I got it wrong more times than I got it right. So I can't really emphasize enough how big a deal it is that you can just bring your Word document or an RTF file or whatever you've got over to us, and we can convert that for you automatically. And I mean, I did a video walkthrough of this stuff, and I mean, it took 10 minutes on the video, and that was with me yammering the whole time and soaking up time. It's such a quick and easy process. And if you've already published an ebook with us, it's even faster, because you can just a few clicks and you've converted that ebook into a print manuscript. Like, and I don't think we mentioned that earlier, but that's one of the key features here. Like, you don't see that with any other print on demand service. I've never seen it, and I doubt we will see it anywhere else for some time. But you know, if you've already got an ebook, if you've already got that ready to go, we can convert that into a print manuscript.
That's one of the things I really have enjoyed about what you guys have available is how easy it is, because you can go from ebook, you can go to the print book now. And of course, we have that additional distribution over an audiobook, which was kind of neat because I pressed the button. I wanted to see what had happened, even though I already used Findaway Voices.
Yeah.
And it was really neat that it spit back an email to me saying like, hey, you know, you can browse their marketplace and do. I was like, how about that? That is a really neat feature that you guys have there. So you've really built something massive. What was the work like for you on that one, Chris?
Or the audio stuff, or the
just building this massive thing that includes ebooks, audiobooks, and now print books.
Oh man, it's been a 10 years worth of work. I mean, the amount of effort to build something that is purposefully as easy to use as possible, but still very powerful, is a huge challenge. This is not easy stuff. We iterate regularly, feedback from authors, feedback from people like you, Dale, feedback from our internal team like Kevin. It's just a constant back and forth where we're just seeing, oh, here's the pain point. How can we knock that pain point out? And we fix it. And we just keep moving on. It's all iterating, just constantly moving forward. And it's a huge effort, but authors need solutions that are easy to use so they can go back to writing and do the thing they want to be doing. And that's always been our goal, is to help authors have more time to write. So
that's good.
Yeah, I want to add to that. They take feedback from guys like you and the writers, the authors we use, a lot faster than from me. So don't say that's not going to get you anywhere.
Got you. Okay, so with print distribution, you guys are hitting the avenues of Amazon and Ingram. Am I correct in saying that?
So it's much more clear to think about it that we get the books into the wholesale distribution network, and it's Ingram's wholesale distribution network. And so print is different than ebooks, and this is actually one of the most difficult struggles, is trying to communicate the difference between how ebooks are sold and how print books are sold. And the wholesale market basically means there's a wholesaler who retailers go and buy the book from, and Amazon can go to that wholesaler and buy the book. And so when we send it out there, Amazon can choose to list the book on their website and buy it from that wholesaler. So we don't send it directly to Amazon. Amazon gets it from wholesale like they do any other print book. Some publishers do work with Amazon directly. We don't do that currently, but the books will get picked up by Amazon through the wholesale network. So, and the wholesale is where thousands and thousands of bookstores will buy your book. That's where they'll get it. Thousands of print book websites are buying your book through the wholesale distribution network. So,
what would be the process that would take for me to, say, for instance, increase the likelihood that I would be listed on a specific site?
It's not clear cut. So Amazon especially, they have their algorithms that are opaque. We all know about Amazon algorithms being difficult. Sometimes it's not exactly clear when they choose not to list a book. They list most of them, but I'm sure they take into account pricing or where they'll make more money if they can get it from a different avenue. So if you also provide the book to KDP Print, which you can do, they will very likely sell the KDP Print version because they'll make more money. And honestly, you, the author, would make more money too, selling your book directly to Amazon.
That's actually, we recommend a strategy of that, like, rather than using, say, us over other options, especially KDP Print, like put your book in KDP Print and turn off the expanded distribution, use us for expanded distribution, because Amazon's always going to prefer their stuff. That's what they have more control over. They make more money, you make more money. So that's part of a strategy we recommend, is go to KDP Print, get your book in there, turn off expanded distribution, use us for that. And then you've got other options out there for all kinds of markets that we maybe don't yet reach.
This brings up a good point here. And please, just if I'm derailing it, let me know here, Chris. But if we can go through Draft2Digital versus, say, Ingram Spark, I don't even have to worry about purchasing an ISBN at this point. I literally could be able to come straight over to you guys because then I won't have an upload fee and I won't have to have my own ISBN. Am I wrong in saying, or am I speaking out of turn?
You're not wrong in saying that. That would be something different. I mean, there's stuff that Ingram Spark offers in print that we don't offer, like hardcovers, cloth covers. I mean, there's Ingram has more features at Ingram Spark. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
But the two things you mentioned, free ISBN, upload fee, are definitely, and our customer support would definitely be reasons you might consider D2D print. So
customer support should have been with everything, because you guys have really been super cool.
It's always so rough to talk about that though, because that's a everyone talks about their great customer support, but we can back that up with go Google us. You don't have to take our word for it at all. I mean, there's a few million people willing to testify to our support online.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the cost and the process for print proofs on Draft2Digital Print?
Yeah, so first off, probably explain the print proof process. So whenever you upload a book and you get the cover and the interior in there, we'll show you a digital proof of your book. So it's an online proof. You kind of like flip through it like you're reading a book. And so you can find mistakes if you feel like there's something you want to fix or you don't like. Then if you choose, you can do a physical proof. So you can order a physical proof where it'll be printed and shipped to you so you can hold it and make sure you're happy with it. The cost for that is $30. And the reason the price is $30 is because print on demand, they print your book right when you order it, but everybody's printing books right when you order it. These proofs are actually shoved to the front of the line so they can get printed as fast as possible. And then they're sent to you on expedited shipping. So it tends to get anywhere in the US in just like 2 to 3 days from when you do the print proof. If you do like a regular author copy order later on in the process after the book is live, it can take a couple of weeks to get books. Yeah. So the print proof, we authors tend to want a fast turnaround time so they can look at it and say, I'm happy with it. The nice thing about our print proofs is that they're not watermarked or anything. They're literally the same book you would buy. I mean, you hold that book and it's yours. It's the same thing that the vast majority of your readers will end up purchasing. So.
Those watermarks are so absolutely annoying when you're ordering.
It does annoy me. Yeah,
it's like I'm not going to hang on to this. It's a good book. I'm going to hand it to a family member. Oh, thanks. You've got a watermark on it.
Yeah.
There's
I want to throw in, by the way, that not only do you get to preview the interior of the book, but once you get to a point where you're making that live, and I think somewhere even when you get to the proofing stage, you can actually we give you like a little 3D version of the book. It's on like a stack, so you can actually see how the cover's looking. Mm-hmm. And it shows you front, back, spine, all of that. And it's on a transparent PNG, so you can actually download that and use that for, say, dropping into ads, BookBub ads and things like that. I use them all the time. I drop them into my emails all the time.
That's really, really cool. I didn't realize that was downloadable. I saw it and it just went right out of my head. I'm like,
yeah, I feel like we should make a point to encourage people to download it. Maybe down the road we'll do that, but I always just, and it's just a context click, right click and download.
Or that makes sense.
Or drag and drop. I think you can even drag and drop them.
We have some clever developers, and one of them came up with that visual clue to kind of get authors to think, hey, I can do print. And that was just kind of a show off. Hey, imagine your book if you had a stack of them and one of them standing up. This is what it would look like. And it really is pretty neat.
That is a truly unique feature. There, you're not getting that. You usually have to go to some other software service or site in order to get something like that. And
then you build it yourself. Nobody is just automatically generating a 3D version of your actual book. Like that doesn't happen anywhere.
Yeah, so true. This is really neat. So while we're kind of drawing some comparisons and seeing some things, let's kind of address the elephant in the room, because I know there's going to be someone who's going to ask this. How is D2D competing with KDP or Ingram Spark in terms of royalty for print on demand?
So the royalty And so another thing about print that's different than ebooks is thinking about royalties. In print, you'll tend to think of, they'll be called discount rates is how the print thinks about them. Amazon will probably still use the word royalty. But really you're giving Amazon a discount to sell your book, and you're giving them a 40% discount, which means they pay you 60% of the sale price of the book, and then you pay for the unit cost. Ingram Spark actually has a range. You can do a discount rate of 30 to 55%, which actually means you're going to get, what is that, 45 to 70%, depending on what you pick. Draft2Digital Print is a 45% to the authors. Sorry. So it's a 55% discount rate. And that's fixed. We know we're smaller. We don't have the power of a much bigger organizations. And that is the way we can make the business model work. So we can offer this cool feature set, this ease of use process. And so you're giving us a 55% discount, which means you're going to earn 45% on the list price. I mean, on the wholesale price of the book minus the unit cost. So our royalty rates are a little less, but you get all of the Draft2Digital customer support and interface, and hopefully the things you like about Draft2Digital.
And one of the things that will basically help compensate for that over time is we're always going to pursue, if we can somehow, some way improve that, we will. But what we are doing, what we've always done, is we're actively always looking for partners worldwide to help expand your market. So the idea would be, you're getting 45% versus 60 on this side, but we're going to get you into more places. That's the goal. And our expanded distribution right now is through Ingrams worldwide network, but we also have printer partners elsewhere in the world. So it's a growing organism. It's not static at all.
So it's not staying like this forever. It's going to continue to get better and better.
Just like all things D2D, nothing stays the same in D2D.
Yeah,
it's always growing.
Yeah, and I know most people don't really care too much about the industry standard, but this is 55% discount is basically what publishers give as a normal discount to retailers. That's the very standard, and that's what we're doing right now is standard. So yeah.
Awesome. So let's come back just for a second here to ordering author copies, because proofs are one thing, because we just need something to hold in our hands and look at. Whereas author copies, let's say I want to go to an event and have a dozen of those on hand. Mm-hmm. Can I order author copies, and what's the cost breakdown for me?
Yeah. So yes, you can definitely order author copies. It's right through our interface. What you'll pay is the unit cost. So the cost to print the book. Which is the same unit cost that you pay if a reader buys your book, and that's it. Plus the shipping and handling to actually mail it to you. So, as an example, if you had a 250-page book, the unit cost will be about $450.
Yeah.
Okay.
So to give you just a rough estimate of where you might land on that, so you might sell that book for $15, but it's going to cost you like $450. So, yeah.
I'm sorry to walk back to this one. I'm going to come back to ISBNs because I don't know how to organize my questions properly.
We don't go backwards, Dale.
We don't go backwards. We are so done with ISBNs. This is one that I know the answer to, but I need you guys to articulate this. Can authors use the free ISBN that you provide them for the print books elsewhere? And what publishing avenues should they avoid outside of D2D if they're utilizing D2D?
Unfortunately, you cannot reuse the Draft2Digital ISBNs anywhere else. This is actually a requirement of Bowker, which is the one you have to buy ISBNs from. It's a very strict requirement. You can't transfer ISBNs to any other company. So, yeah.
Yeah, it stinks. It's one of those cases. I always tell people, like the analogy, I'm not sure if I've said this one with you, Kevin, before. Kevin, you're always welcome to come over to my house. You can use my kitchen, make yourself some lunch with my pots and pans if you wish to. If you bring your own pots and pans, I'm fine with that. But when you leave my pots and pans with me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We're boys, but we're not like that. So
right.
The ISBN works the same way. You're going to use the pots and pans. You got to leave them in the kitchen.
Yeah.
So sorry to get us off on a tangent there for a second. You guys have gushed a lot about some of these features, but what are some of the other features maybe we haven't touched on the D2D print that you guys are really proud of?
Well, I mean, we talked about some of these at the front end. I mean, that's the stuff that we've been most excited about. A lot of what we have built, I mean, it's some of it's not even visible, but it's still exciting. You know, I mean, there's little things happening. You know, there's tools, some of which have been built into the ebook process for a while, but like, you know, automating the in matter and things like that. That's all standard as part of this as well. So, for example, I mean, when you release a new book, you know, you can update that also by list in across the board. Now, it's not going to magically update that in books that have sold already. When we perfect that technology, though, Dale, you'll be the first to know.
Nice.
But you know, that's a big deal. I mean, you know, especially if you are somewhat prolific. Like I've got 70 titles out there. If I had to sit and update each one of those manually, I would never write books. That would be the only thing I ever do. So, you know, that's sort of one of those problems that come up as you grow. We want you to grow. That's everything we build is meant to help you grow. So we're thinking ahead on stuff like that. So there's several like flashy, cool tools in the system. Some of which we've already discussed, but there's more of that coming. I mean, we are obsessed with improving on this thing, the whole thing, you know, everything we build. So you should tune in and watch is what you should do.
Gotcha. All right. I'm going to wrap up today's session here with Chris. I'm going to give this one to you because Kevin and I talk to each other so much at this point. Like, I want to ask you, Chris, you've done a few interviews before. What is one question you wish somebody would ask about Draft2Digital, but they haven't asked it before?
Sorry. I guess the question I wish people would ask us is, what motivates you to keep doing what you're doing? Well, you know, why are you doing this? You know, we all have to get up in the morning, go to work and do our things, and being motivated is the best thing. And the motivation we have at Draft2Digital is authors to succeed. I mean, it's just hard to really truly paint that picture, but it is our goal. We want authors to be successful. We want them to love doing what they're doing. We want them to love their jobs of being a writer. And that's what has us motivated and doing this day in and day out, creating tools, always thinking of new ways to do it better, being hard on ourselves to make sure we're improving. And it's because we truly want authors to succeed. We don't want them to get scammed by a market, by an industry that has historically not treated authors very well. And we want to show that authors should be the center of the universe. And we want to be part of showing authors how important they truly are. So,
excellent note to finish on. I'm going to keep recording it just because
sure.
I have a feeling we're going to, in the next like 2 minutes before we disconnect, you guys are going to be like, hey, I got something really cool, but I see it's on the hour. I don't really want to take you guys beyond that. A question, do you want to pre-screen the video before I launch it, or should I just launch away?
I'm okay if you launch it.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm fine. We really appreciate that offer, but we trust you.
Good.
Yeah.
See,
I know where to find you.
Right. So, well, I mean, we also try to be, I hope you've learned this from our team and watching everything we do. We try to be a very open company, as open as we possibly can. Yeah. The only time we're secretive really is when it comes to limitations placed on us by our partners. Yeah. And there's almost nothing that's internally secret. So we do like to be open and honest. So
I think for some of those like nerd level type stuff, like where it's just like how much you brokered with some specific print company, like if we were to reveal that, there's only going to be a fraction of people who actually give a shit. Like
that's true.
Like they're like literally like, no, do you publish my books and will I get paid? That's typically like the thing that does it.
Yeah,
Yep.
the only people who'd be interested are the competitors.
Mhm.
Right.
Right.
There you go.
Right. And I don't care what the competitors know
And
about
we don't
us.
care, right?
But the big, the big companies we have to work with, and they're multi-billion-dollar companies, they care about stuff like that.
Yeah.
And
Obsessively so.
yep. And so we got to play in that market. We're not a multi-billion-dollar company. So
What was that conversation like for you? Did you have to broker that, Chris?
yes, yeah. And in fact,
You don't have to give specifics, but
No,
like,
I
was
won't
it
give you-
tense or was like they're staring at you and they were like, you need to agree to these deals now or we're walking out of this room?
It's not like the movies, I can tell you that, or
No.
TV shows. No, it's a multi-year process where you work and make your case really as to what it is you're trying to do. Because imagine being a giant company and someone comes up to you and says, hey, give us a great print deal because we're going to, print 1 million units in the next year or two. And they're gonna be like, well, you're crazy, right? They're gonna like, we don't believe you. Everybody says that. Everybody says that they're gonna do what you just said. And we have to prove it. And so I have to make predictions and then we do some stuff. And I say, see, I told you this is what we would do. And then over time, you build up a reputation that you can then use during a negotiation process. It's, but in the end, we got to just do what we say we're going to do. And, but it's really hard when you're brand new because you have no history to go on. So,
Well, thankfully you guys have something established now. So clearly somebody trusts you.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
One thing, Dale, and this has come up internally, and we included this in like the press release and in the blog post. So you can actually find numbers and things that we found. But what we're seeing is there's a potential here that a lot of authors aren't quite. Maybe they're not aware of it in some cases, or maybe they were too challenged by the process of getting into print on demand. Like some of these services, some of them have overhead costs that are too high for certain authors. Some of them have processes that are too stringent or too difficult to navigate, too time consuming. And so, there's this huge potential for these authors who are only going to digital to branch out and find an entirely new pocket of readers and increase their potential for royalties and revenue. And the goal with D2D print was, for the first tier evolution of D2D print is let's make it as simple and easy as possible for those authors to, if we can get it down to a button click, we're going to do it. But we want them to be able to transition from being digital only to including print because that benefits them. And that's been the goal since the start of this, is open up the potential for those authors and give them another revenue opportunity, another way. And that's a different reader, by the way. I mean, that's ebook readers. There are those who will only read ebooks. There are those who will only read print. There's a sort of narrow margin that does both. But, if you're only aiming at one of those markets or the other, you're missing out on a whole bunch of other readers out there. So this is, just like audiobooks, this is one more avenue for authors to discover a new market and increase their earning potential.
Mm-hmm. It's really cool, man. I really appreciate you guys taking a little bit of time afterwards and such. There was one question I had that was bouncing across my head and I just lost it.
Sorry.
It was a good one.
I did that.
No. It's I blame my ADHD because I was like focusing on what you're saying. And I was like, oh, I'll remember that in a second. You ever get that where you have a genius idea and you're like, you come back to it and you're like,
yeah.
What? Like, okay, that's it. We're just moving on.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to see about cutting here right now. So that way I can start producing something, because I would like to try to get a nicely produced video, not just like, here's an interview and just plop it up. Let's see if I can kind of clip it up just a little bit more, add a bit more context to it and such, and then probably remove some redundancies since I, kind of skip forward ISBNs at one point or another.
Sure.
Yeah. Who made this programming?
Hey,
Jeez.
You're the professional, whatever you think, Dale. It's fine. So
sweet. Well, the nice thing is hotspot for me is typically Sundays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays now. So if I can get my butt in gear, I should hopefully get it out tomorrow. But I'm thinking, realistically speaking, if it's going to be a banger video, it'll probably be Thursday.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Makes sense.
That's fine. We're doing if you can mention it if you want. We're doing a D2D Ask Us Anything on Thursday at noon Central about D2D print.
do you guys have a universal link that you go to, like a landing page for every one of your lives, right?
D2Dlive.com.
Let me write that down, because then then if they miss it, they can still come over and see your future ones as well, is what I'm thinking.
There's also a little banner that appears at the top of the website at Draft2Digital.com, but D2Dlive.com has a countdown timer and links for the show and everything.
Perfect. I thought I remembered that. Yes, that's fantastic. Okay, good. I'll make sure to put that in the video as well. So that way you guys get a little bit more love and some more traffic, which is just absurd. You guys should have like lots of people watching your channel. That's just my opinion, though. I'm a little bit biased.
Yeah,
Lord knows it takes time.
Yeah.
All right, guys.